Thank you for taking a moment to review this video in preparation for our annual conference. Today I'm sitting with Reverend Kim Ingram, who is the Director of Ministerial Services and the Secretary of the annual conference, as we prepare to welcome you to this year's annual conference. In these early months, as I've traveled and been welcomed into the Western North Carolina Conference, it's my privilege now to welcome you to the annual conference. This year, the theme of our annual conference, which will be June the 23rd through the 25th, is the Great Commission, where Jesus reminds us to baptize, to teach, to obey, knowing that those who obey will go. To baptize, to teach, to obey. And so the theme this year for our first annual conference of this quadrennium is the renewal of our baptism. We hope this year the focus of our work will indeed be worshipful work. For example, one of our speakers will be Bishop Leonard Fairley from the Kentucky Conference, who will be preaching for our opening worship service. And then Bishop Lawson Bryan, who is the Bishop of the South Georgia Conference, will be preaching the service for our commissioning and for our ordination. I'm pleased to share with you that Reverend Donald Jenkins, who is the pastor of St. Paul's United Methodist Church in Winston-Salem, will be preaching the memorial service. One of the unique features of our annual conference this year will be during the business sessions, we're going to be using red, yellow, and green cards. With 1,000 lay members and clergy members of the annual conference, as we begin to discuss the work that's before us, it's not always easy for me to tell who wants to speak for an issue or who wants to speak against an issue or who simply has a point of reference or a question that they want to ask. So this year, rather than individuals just raising their hands and my having to guess do they want to speak for or against an issue, I can see immediately that when you raise your green card, I know that I can call on people who wish to speak for that issue. And if you raise a red card, then I know that you want to speak against the issue. But if you simply have a question or a point of order, just raise the yellow card and we'll call on you to orient us in the midst of the conversation or the discussion. One additional thought is that it's interesting to me that the offerings that we'll be taking will be used to be applied to those who will be offering theological leadership for the next generation. So one of our offerings will be taken on behalf of the Central Conference Theological Fund, and we'll be joining annual conferences and our Central Conference sisters and brothers throughout the world in contributing to this theological fund. And then our second offering that'll be taken during annual conference will be applied to the Methodist Education Fund for our seminarians and those who are called into ministry here locally.
We are really looking forward to this time together at Lake Junaluska, and I wanted to share some highlights from the agenda. We will start, our opening worship service will start on Friday at 10:30 in the morning, and this is when all of the laity and clergy will gather together for the first time. And then we will finish on Sunday morning, and we will be done by about noon. We have our closing worship as the last act together at annual conference. The clergy will gather on Thursday afternoon at 3 o'clock in the Stewart Auditorium for the clergy session, and it's the time that the clergy have their business meeting. It is a change in the schedule this year, and in making the decision to shift to a more weekend-oriented annual conference schedule, we are hoping that we will have good participation and that folks will have to take less time off work than they've had to in the past. As well, the expense of participants should be less because we'll only be spending a couple of nights at the lake instead of as many as we have in the past. So we're excited about our agenda. This year, one of the aspects of the agenda will be to consider constitutional amendments. The General Conference met last year, and when the Constitution has proposed changes to it, all the annual conferences have to take a vote on those changes. And so that information is available ahead of time and will be printed in the printed materials at annual conference. Speaking of which, the Program and Reports book is printed on the annual conference website, and this is where you'll find the schedule in detail and all the other information that I'm sharing with you today. It's available at www.ac2017.org. So that's ac2017.org, and you'll find the schedule and the Program and Reports book there. When you arrive at the lake, you will want to go to the Terrace Hotel on the 3rd floor. In the auditorium is where registration is held. And we ask all lay and clergy members to go there to get their name tags and to confirm their registration and their attendance at annual conference. Registration will open on Thursday at 11 o'clock a.m. and will stay open through that day, and then will be closed on Friday at 7:30 p.m. So we encourage everyone when they arrive to go ahead and come and get registered. There are some things at the lake that you've come to depend on that will be there again this year. That includes the park and ride. So there are lots of parking lots around the campus of the lake. You're encouraged to go ahead and find a parking spot as quickly as you can, and then you'll see signs for the shuttles, and the shuttles will bring you to the Stewart Auditorium. So instead of getting in traffic and hunting for a parking place, we encourage you just to park and take a shuttle. As well, on Friday and Saturday at lunchtime, you have several options to eat your lunch so that you don't have to go off of campus. So there's a food court that will be set up between the Harrell Center and the Stewart Auditorium with several vendors who will be offering food choices. We encourage you to bring cash and small bills so that they can easily take care of your orders. And then the hotels are open for dining at that time, so there's several options. And then if you're staying at the lake, you need to stop at the Bethea Welcome Center, which is the first building on your left when you enter the campus through the main entrance. And all of the housing registration happens at the Bethea Welcome Center. So we encourage you to go there to get your room keys. We will consider several petitions during the annual conference session, and those will be printed in the Program and Reports book. As well as when you register, you'll pick up a supplement, which will be the printed version of just the business items that we need to have in order to conduct business, and the petitions will be printed in there. So we encourage you to read all of this information in advance so that you come to annual conference prepared and informed, watching the videos that are on the annual conference website so that you're ready to do business when you arrive at annual conference. And the final thing that I will mention is that there is a focus on fitness again this year. There is a bike ride from the middle of the conference over to Lake Junaluska the week of conference. So if you're a bicycle enthusiast, then we encourage you to join that ride. As well, the Imagine No Malaria 5K Fun Run Walk is going to be held at night this year instead of first thing in the morning. So maybe that will be attractive to some folks who don't like to get up and run first thing in the morning, but you like to do kind of that moonlit run. So it is on Thursday night at 8 o'clock, and you're encouraged to go to the annual conference website and to get the information there so that you can register in advance. Don't forget, go to AC 2017 to get all this annual conference information. We look forward to seeing you then.
As you can see, we're going to have a full agenda. We're going to have wonderful worship. We're going to have a wonderful celebration and the renewal of many, many friendships. I look forward to seeing you at the lake.